Longshot is directed by Jonathan Levine and stars Charlize Theron as Charlotte Field, this very smart and powerful politician, and Seth Rogen as Fred Flasky, who is the complete opposite. You know, he swears a lot, acts very unprofessionally, and his career is going downhill. This movie is ultimately a romantic comedy, a rom-com, bit different to the movies that I normally like to watch, and what I like is that the title, Longshot, is a good play on words. Because if you think about it, how can two people with completely different mindsets and goals get together with one another? I actually enjoy this movie quite a lot. You know, being a guy who likes a lot of action and thriller movies, this movie was a good break from what has recently came out and what will come out, such as Avengers Endgame and John Wick 3. I had a very fun and chill time with this movie because it was pretty funny. But most of the comedic moments came from sexual jokes. I didn't expect the amount of sexual references or the unnecessary and unrealistic amount of swearing in this movie. I mean, the president was swearing, these supposedly very professional politicians were swearing, and that really doesn't make you take this film seriously, even though it tries very hard to be serious sometimes. And this kind of backfires because if you think about it, this is a very unoriginal and bland way to create comedy. But I think most of it worked because it was just so over the top. Gosh, they were so over the top with the amount of sexual jokes and innuendos in this film. Although it wasn't until after the first act of this film where things started to get really funny. And to be honest, most of the good parts of this film didn't come until the second and third act. The movie's first act was kind of slow-paced, and they had to do a lot of setting up with the story and the characters. It almost got to a point where it put me to sleep, but then the movie kind of picks up the pace. Also, I want to mention, and I'm pretty sure this isn't a spoiler because it is in the movie's synopsis, but we find out that Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen's characters met each other in the past, and I wish there was more backstory to that. When they first talked to each other in the movie, they were like, "Hey, what's up? How's it going?" Like they were old friends or something. But no, she was just his babysitter. And they didn't really talk about the awkward situation when they last met. Not going to say which situation because obviously that's a spoiler, but it just didn't feel right. The movie also changes tones very quickly. For example, there would be this scene where it's like a very angry mood and then it would just change very suddenly to a calm mood, and that change was very sudden and that didn't feel right either. It just was like, wait a minute, you were angry at him before and now you're fine? Like, what's going on? But no, I feel like all of these things that I didn't like about this film were just nitpicks, because after my viewing of this film I was very satisfied and I really liked where the story took me. The chemistry between Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen was very good, and that made the characters feel very believable, and the story writing was pretty good as well and pretty funny. Heck, all of the main cast for this movie did a really good job, and they all made their characters have a certain flair about them. It will take a long time to talk about each and every one of them individually, so I won't. But I do really recommend this film to anyone who just wants to have a good time and to chill. Although, to be honest, I still don't think this film is as funny as Avengers Endgame. And speaking about Avengers, I really like the fact that it referenced Avengers and Game of Thrones in this movie, because obviously both of them aired on the same weekend. I'm going to rate Longshot a B. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Have you seen Longshot? What did you think about it? Please leave a comment about your thoughts below. Like the video if you liked it and drop a sub to help the channel. Also, feel free to check out my previous video. Until next time.